It's not by chance that you're viewing this video. There's a reason you're here. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the timing of your life and know that you're being led to where you're meant to be. As you stumble on this video, perhaps not by chance, it will serve to awaken your spirit. Something big is changing in your life. It's so deep that even you may not fully understand it, but people around you are starting to notice. Those who once ignored or looked down on you are now drawn to you. They don't know why, but they can feel that something about you is different. Your presence feels stronger. Your energy has changed. There's a new power around you, coming from the Spirit of God. Because of this, people who once didn't see your value now feel unsure or even nervous around you. They can tell you're not the same person anymore. Before we start the 7 powerful chapters meant to help you understand God's message, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. This message isn't just content. It's a sign from God for those who are chosen. To everyone who has supported through Super Thanks, may God bless you greatly. Your support, your presence, and your faith are truly noticed and appreciated. I'm very thankful for each of you who keep showing up, listening with open hearts, and following God's path. Your journey matters. Your energy is strong, and your faith is a light to others. If your spirit resonates with this frequency, I invite you to type 77 in the comments right now. That number is not a coincidence. It is a sacred signal, a divine code sent to both heaven and the universe, declaring that you are fully aware of the shift taking place within and around you. It signifies that you recognize your aura is transforming, that your presence is now speaking volumes before your mouth ever utters a word, and that those who once overlooked or dismissed you are now inexplicably drawn to you, compelled by a spiritual change they cannot explain. Not everyone will make it to the end of this message. Only the truly chosen will. For what you are about to hear is not merely encouraging. It is a divine revelation that will bring clarity to what is unfolding in the spirit realm at this very moment. You are not losing your mind, nor are you imagining things. You have been transformed. Your inner light now radiates with such intensity that it confronts the very spirits of those around you. This is not just a motivational message. It is a living word, a sacred explanation for why your energy is shifting, why your name is being brought up again in rooms you haven't even entered, and why people are watching you in silent awe, sensing something extraordinary that they cannot quite articulate. Allow yourself to revisit this message whenever your spirit feels guided to do so, for with each viewing, a deeper layer of divine truth will be unveiled to you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. You were hidden for a season, for a holy reason. Chosen one, take this truth to heart. When others ignored you, passed you by, or behaved as though you were invisible, it was never a reflection of your lack of worth, purpose, or potential. Rather, it was the result of God's sovereign and infinite wisdom through which He chose to intentionally conceal you. He placed a divine veil over your life, not as a punishment, but as a sacred act of protection. Your seeming invisibility was not accidental. You were not forgotten, but divinely hidden. You were not discarded, but carefully covered. There was a higher, heavenly purpose behind your season of obscurity, a divine strategy in which heaven kept you shielded in the shadows, quietly preparing you for the powerful unveiling that is now beginning to take place in your life. God knew ahead of time that the places you were entering weren't ready for your full light. The people around you didn't yet have the spiritual understanding to see how deep your spirit is, how important your purpose is, or how sacred your calling truly is. If your full light had been shown too early, it might have brought the wrong kind of attention, praise from proud people, jealousy from others, and chances that looked good but would have lifted you too fast and hurt you before you were ready. Out of love and mercy, God delayed your revealing, not to hold you back, but to keep you safe. God did not diminish your brilliance because you lack power or potential, but rather because your power required time to develop and mature under His divine supervision. Though you were physically present in the room, you remained unnoticed. Your presence was real, yet you seemed invisible. You were undoubtedly gifted, but often misunderstood. During that time, you witnessed others being selected, promoted, celebrated, and even imitated while you remained behind the scenes, seemingly overlooked. What you did not understand then was that God was intentionally hiding you, not to punish or reject you, but to prepare you. In the silence and solitude, He was cultivating the strength of your character. He was teaching you how to wield great power while remaining humble. He was training you to carry true authority without allowing pride or arrogance to take root in your heart. You were engaged in building spiritual strength and resilience in private, so that when the appointed moment arrived for you to step into the spotlight, your foundation would remain firm and unshaken, capable of bearing the full weight and responsibility of your divine assignment. This period of hiding was never intended to be a delay or a setback. Rather, it was a deliberate process of divine incubation. Just as a seed planted in dark, fertile soil is not buried to be forgotten, but is instead being deeply rooted, so too were you not cast aside, but firmly established. Your hidden season was a sacred and necessary space, in which heaven performed its most profound and transformative work within you. The rejection you experienced was, in truth, a form of redirection, guiding you toward a better path. The silence you endured was a sacred stillness, a holy pause designed for your growth. Furthermore, those who overlooked you were never the true gatekeepers to your destiny or purpose. It was God Himself who stood guard over the door of your destiny. He alone recognized that your light was unique, not designed to entertain or draw shallow applause, but divinely purposed to bring about deep and lasting transformation. Because of this, He refused to allow your gift to be mishandled, diminished, or misused by those who operate solely through natural perception, unable to discern spiritual depth. Your anointing was never intended to be showcased like a trophy for admiration or display. Instead, it was fashioned to serve as a powerful weapon, one that brings deliverance to the bound, healing to the broken, and liberation to the oppressed. And because of the sacred weight of that calling, God did not permit just anyone to have access to it prematurely. Therefore, yes, you were hidden, but your concealment was never a result of inadequacy or inferiority. Rather, it was because you carried more than what those around you could comprehend, more than what the people in your environment were prepared to receive, and certainly more than what your past might have indicated or revealed. And now, the divinely appointed time for your unveiling is drawing near. The veil that once obscured you is beginning to lift. The very individuals who once dismissed or overlooked you are about to be astonished, overwhelmed by a radiant light they never anticipated, a brilliance they were never prepared to witness. For when God chooses to conceal one of His own, it is never arbitrary or without intention. He always reveals them at the precise moment when it carries the greatest significance. This unveiling is not for the sake of applause or human recognition, nor is it intended to feed the ego. Rather, it is for divine impact and eternal purpose. You were never forgotten. You were carefully and deliberately preserved. You were never truly invisible. You were divinely protected. And now, the time has come for heaven to reveal the reason behind your hidden season, to demonstrate the weight of your calling and the power of your purpose. Chapter 2. Your transformation began in darkness. Your transformation commenced in the shadows, far removed from the public eye. You are the chosen one, set apart by a purpose greater than what others can comprehend. What confuses those around you now is the undeniable change they observe in you, an evolution they did not witness firsthand. They can clearly see that something within you is different, but they remain unaware of the trials, the growth, and the quiet battles that shape this current version of yourself. This is because your transformation did not unfold before an audience. It did not happen under the scrutiny of the world. Instead, it took place in isolation, away from recognition, in a realm of obscurity and sacred silence. It was there, in solitude, that your true metamorphosis occurred. While others were laughing, gossiping, or simply overlooking your existence, you were quietly enduring one of the most transformative and powerful seasons of your life. one that unfolded entirely behind closed doors. While they assumed that nothing significant was happening for you, the truth is that everything meaningful was happening within you. You were not broadcasting your journey to the world. You were not seeking validation or attempting to prove your progress to anyone. Instead, you remained in the hidden place, the sacred cocoon where divine transformation was actively shaping your soul. In that secret space, you were doing the unseen and often uncelebrated work, breaking generational patterns, confronting long-buried emotional wounds, and learning to place your trust in God, not only with the blessings that bring joy, but also with the brokenness that demands healing. And while the world turned its gaze away from you, dismissing your silence and absence as insignificance, heaven was leaning in with divine attentiveness. The silence you experienced was not a void. It was sacred ground. It was a holy stillness, richly filled with divine encounters, gentle but necessary corrections, profound revelations, and deep spiritual surgeries that took place far beyond the sight or understanding of others. Though they may have mocked your absence, assuming you had simply disappeared or fallen behind, they failed to realize that during that very time, you were being reformed at the core of your being. Though they overlooked you, writing you off or forgetting your name, they could not see that you were undergoing a complete internal overhaul, one not meant for public display, but for private refinement. You were not merely healing from past pain, you were evolving into someone new. You were shedding old, outdated, and lifeless versions of yourself, releasing what no longer served your purpose in order to embrace the fullness of who you were divinely created to become. You were releasing old identities, identities that no longer aligned with who God has declared you to be. You were actively dismantling false beliefs that had taken root in your mind and heart. Beliefs planted by past trauma, unhealthy comparisons, and wounds that had long remained unhealed. During this sacred season, you were learning how to be still in the presence of God, how to discern His voice amidst the noise, how to engage in spiritual warfare through persistent prayer, how to strengthen your inner being, and how to walk by faith even when your circumstances offered no clarity or comfort. That is why people are stunned now. That is why they struggle to recognize you. What they see is not merely a superficial transformation. This was not just a glow-up in the natural sense. It was a profound elevation of your spirit. You didn't just change on the outside. You were spiritually renewed, refined, and elevated from within. The version of you that others remember no longer exists. That former self, the one who endured mistreatment in silence, who constantly second-guessed their worth, who settled for crumbs of love, respect, and opportunity, was laid to rest in that hidden, dark season of transformation. In place of that old identity, a new individual has emerged, someone clothed in discernment, fortified with boldness, anchored in unshakable peace, and walking in the fullness of divine authority. This is not merely a change in behavior, but a complete resurrection of purpose, identity, and spiritual strength. They did not witness the breaking of your spirit, nor did they see the countless nights filled with weeping, the extended seasons of fasting, the prayers that seemed to go unanswered, the intense spiritual battles you fought in silence, or the moments when you felt on the brink of surrender. Nor were they ever meant to see these struggles, for your transformation was never intended to serve as a spectacle for their entertainment. Rather, it was designed solely for the glory of God. The darkness you endured functioned as a sacred womb, a place of profound gestation and unseen growth. Just as a seed must first germinate deep within the soil before it can break forth and flourish in the light, so too were you being nurtured and cultivated in that hidden sacred space, preparing for the moment when heaven would reveal the fruit of your transformation to the world. Now that others see you rising, radiant with purpose, speaking with clarity, and walking in a confidence that cannot be shaken, they are left in a state of confusion. They wonder, how did this transformation occur? Where did this version of them come from? But the truth is, this version of you has always existed within. It simply required a dark season to awaken it. It took the pain to unlock its depth, the silence to forge its strength, and the isolation to refine its power. They were never intended to witness your becoming. That sacred process of growth, breaking, and rebirth was not for public consumption. It was reserved for divine intimacy. Their role was not to observe the journey, but to encounter the outcome. And now that you are stepping into the light, into visibility, into purpose, their confusion is not your responsibility. Their disbelief is not a burden you are required to carry. Your only responsibility now is to continue walking in the light, steadfast, assured, and fully aware that every experience which took place in the darkness was an intentional part of God's divine process, meticulously designed to lead you to this very moment. You did not merely survive the darkness, you were transformed within it. It was in that hidden sacred space that your character was refined, your faith was deepened, and your identity was reborn. And it is that very transformation, carved out in silence and forged through struggle, that is now distinguishing you, setting you apart with purpose and power in a way the world can no longer ignore. Chapter 3. Your aura is more than energy, it's evidence. You are not just carrying energy, you are carrying proof. Chosen one. The shift others feel in your presence isn't a coincidence or a figment of their imagination. It's deeply spiritual. What surrounds you is more than a vibe. It's a divine signature, a tangible reflection that you've walked with God, that you've been refined by fire, lifted higher, and marked by a power that defies human understanding. What people are sensing in your presence is not merely a positive energy or good vibes. It is the residue of spiritual warfare, the unmistakable fragrance of survival, and the undeniable presence of divine glory. Though they may not fully understand it, every time you walk into a room, you carry the atmosphere of heaven with you. This is not because you seek to impress or draw attention, but because your spirit is aligned with a higher calling and a greater purpose. You carry the weight of someone who has endured fire and yet remained unburned, who has faced profound loss without crumbling, and who has been broken but rebuilt by the very hands of God. That is why your aura is heavy, not because it is artificial, but because it is authentic, spiritual, and disruptive. You are no longer walking in fear, you are walking in favor. You are no longer begging to be seen because you have become undeniable, and that is what confuses them. To them, your presence was once familiar, small, and easily managed. But now it is sacred. It carries weight, speaks without sound, and commands attention effortlessly. You no longer need to say much, for your aura speaks volumes on its own. Your presence announces the shift before your words even arrive. It declares that you are someone who has been chosen, refined, and set apart. That is why some people now feel uncomfortable around you, not because you have done anything to them, but because your light exposes their darkness, your confidence highlights their insecurity, your peace unsettles their chaos, and your elevation challenges their stagnation. Your spiritual authority unsettles the demons they have been entertaining, making some unable to maintain eye contact with you, while others suddenly withdraw without explanation. Some may even attempt to test you, subtly disrespect you, or act distant, not out of hatred, but because they sense something within you that challenges what resides within them. Your aura functions like a spiritual mirror, reflecting the true nature of what people carry inside. That is why those with clean spirits feel a sense of peace in your presence, while those with hidden agendas feel an undeniable pressure. And here is what is most powerful. The aura you now carry is not something you sought or asked for. It is something God Himself gave you. You did not chase it, rather you cultivated it in the hidden places, through pain, through prayer, through fasting, through surrender, and through unwavering obedience. Your aura is the visible evidence of your private submission, the result of a soul that has been purged, purified, and perfectly positioned within the will of God. It is also the very reason why your presence now has the power to shift atmospheres. When you walk into a space, the entire dynamic changes. Conversations shift, spirits are stirred, and hearts are pricked, because you are no longer just a person. You have become a vessel, and when a true vessel enters the room, spiritual dimensions begin to align, and everything that is not of God becomes uncomfortable. Therefore, do not shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Do not downplay your presence in order to fit in, and do not feel the need to explain your glow to those who were not part of your growth. Your aura is not a reflection of arrogance. It is a reflection of assignment. It is not rooted in ego, but in evidence. Evidence of transformation, healing, and divine purpose. The very fact that people are sensing something different in you is confirmation that your transformation is complete. You did not merely survive, you shifted. And now, your aura speaks louder than your words ever could. Let it speak. Let it shine. Let it confuse those who believe they had you figured out. Because what they are sensing is not merely energy, it is God. And through your presence, He is confirming to everyone that you are no longer who you once were. You have become who you were always born to be. Chapter 4. They're drawn to what they can't define. Here is a spiritual truth many fail to understand. Chosen one, people are instinctively drawn to mystery. What they cannot label, they study. What they cannot access, they begin to desire. And that is precisely what is happening with you right now. You have become a divine enigma, a living paradox. You are unbothered yet magnetic, silent yet powerful, present yet difficult to decipher. You may not speak often, but when you do, your words carry undeniable weight. You do not boast, yet your impact is felt even before you enter a room. You no longer chase attention, because your presence now speaks for itself. You no longer try to prove your worth, nor do you explain yourself to those who once overlooked you. Yet, despite that, they still can't look away. They feel something when you're near. They sense a presence upon you that wasn't there before, and it unsettles them in ways they can't articulate, but also can't ignore. Quietly, they begin to ask themselves, what happened to them? Why do they seem so different? How did they become this version of themselves? What they fail to understand is that what you now carry did not come from effort. It came from encounter. You have been in the presence of God. You have walked through battles they will never know about. And it is that unseen journey that has transformed you into who you are today. You have endured heartbreaks, disappointments, and dark nights that reshape the very core of your spirit. Yet through it all, you emerged carrying something pure, something rare, something stamped by heaven itself. What others struggle to define is divine favor, the anointing, the spiritual frequency, the unmistakable glow of God upon you. You are no longer aligned with the patterns of this world, you are aligned with the kingdom. And true alignment produces attraction, not the shallow, surface-level kind, but a deep spiritual pull that draws people in without need for explanation. They do not understand what they are drawn to, because it did not originate in the natural. It is not your style, your words, or your status that captivates them. It is your spirit. And here is the part that confuses them even more. Because your glow did not come from man, it cannot be replicated by man. It cannot be duplicated through trends or imitated through personality. It is uncomfortable, for it was poured out from heaven, not manufactured through hustle. It was birthed through surrender, not crafted by strategy. It was formed through obedience, not performance. That is why some will admire you, while others will envy you, because they desire what you carry, yet they are unwilling to endure what you went through to carry it. They want your light, but not your loneliness. They long for your glow, but not the grind it took in the spirit to obtain it. They are attempting to understand it through a carnal perspective, but what you carry can only be recognized through divine discernment. This is precisely why your presence unsettles certain people. Not because you are doing too much, but because your stillness speaks, your peace is loud, your silence is full, and your very existence is prophetic. You have become a mirror, one that reflects what true alignment with God looks like, and this reflection either draws people closer to Him or causes them to retreat into themselves. Therefore, do not be surprised when they keep circling back, watching from a distance, asking silent questions, or wanting to be near you without knowing how to approach. It is not personal, it is spiritual. Your aura is activating things within them that they did not even know existed. Your walk is awakening parts of their spirit that have long been dormant. Chapter 5. Your presence is their unanswered question. You are the chosen one. Your very existence has become an enigma to those who once overlooked you. Now you stand as a living contradiction to everything they expected you to be. They believed that your silence would break you. They assumed that rejection would be enough to derail your path. They mistook your quietness for weakness. But what they failed to realize is that God was using every moment, every setback, every silence, and every rejection to strengthen you and refine the foundation upon which your purpose stands. They believed that ignoring you would diminish your worth, but in reality, it only deepened your value. They assumed their absence would cause you to collapse, yet it served to reveal the true strength that lies within you. They were convinced their approval was essential for you to reach your next level, failing to understand that you were never dependent on them. Your dependence was always on God. Now your very presence raises unspoken questions in their minds. You have not uttered a single word, yet they find themselves wondering, how did this person ascend to such heights? How do they appear so peaceful, so powerful, so completely unbothered? What is it about their spirit that now feels so strong, so steady, so magnetic? Why am I thinking about someone I once treated as if they didn't matter? This is the unspoken question now echoing in their minds. Your glow unsettles them, not because it is loud or boastful, but because it was never supposed to happen, at least, not according to their expectations. In their minds, you were meant to remain stuck, stay silent, and shrink into smallness. But instead, you rose not through force, manipulation, or the need to prove anything, but through quiet obedience. You allowed God to elevate you in His perfect timing. You chose healing over bitterness and let that healing speak for you. You allowed your transformation to declare itself without seeking validation from those who once dismissed or devalued you. You never chased the spotlight, yet now it seems to follow you wherever you go. You did not beg for recognition, but even in your silence, your presence is impossible to ignore. You never clap back at criticism or insult, yet now your very existence answers questions louder than any verbal response ever could. This is why they are confused, because you refused to play their game. You did not compromise your soul, nor did you alter your essence to fit into a world that demanded conformity. Instead, you chose the higher path. You preserved your integrity. You remained loyal to your process, trusting that what was meant for you would arrive without compromise. And now, God is elevating you, not as a display of vanity, but as a testimony of victory. You have become a living example of what unfolds when someone places God first and maintains a pure spirit, even while navigating a world tainted by compromise. The true reason your presence feels so mysterious to others is because it confronts them with the reality of their own choices. You refuse to take shortcuts, and now they are beginning to see exactly where shortcuts lead. You chose not to compromise your values, and now they are left questioning why their compromises have yielded so little. You were willing to be overlooked, to be last, to wait in humility, and now God is positioning you first. Because you chose to walk the right path with integrity and obedience, they cannot easily define you. You don't fit into the categories they once used to measure success, and that, more than anything, unsettles them. You no longer fit into the boxes they once tried to place you in. You are not the person they assumed you were. Your presence has become a spiritual question mark, one that compels others to confront what they overlooked, what they misjudged, and what they now feel each time you are near. It is not your appearance, your clothing, or your status that unsettles them. It is your presence. It is the unmistakable way heaven flows through you. The peace you carry, the power with which you walk, the grace you extend, and the profound wisdom that resides even in your silence. You embody everything they never expected to emerge from the one they once ignored. You are living proof that being overlooked is not the same as being unworthy. You are the unexpected answer to prayers They never realized you were praying. And now you have become the question they do not know how to answer. Chapter 6. Your spirit has been rewired for destiny. You have been chosen, and your spirit has been divinely rewired for destiny. The glow others now see upon you is not superficial. It has nothing to do with trends, titles, or outward appearance. It runs far deeper than anything external. What radiates from you is the result of something sacred: alignment. It is the divine alignment between your soul and the purpose that heaven inscribed over your life long before the world ever formed an opinion about you. What people sense when they encounter you now is not mere charisma. It is calling. It is not ego they're witnessing, but evidence. Proof that your spirit has undergone a holy transformation, one that has prepared you to walk fully in your destiny. You no longer think the way you once did, nor do you move as you once moved. Your motives have been purified, refined by the fire of experience, and anointed by the oil of deep intimacy with God. The version of you that once sought validation, tried to fit in, and craved applause for affirmation no longer exists. Now everything about you points upward, toward purpose. You no longer speak to impress others. You speak to awaken something within them. You don't show up to be liked. You show up to shift the atmosphere. You have been spiritually recoded. Heaven has upgraded your internal software. You have received divine downloads through pain, gained revelation in silence, and acquired wisdom through seasons of waiting. You no longer respond from your wounds. You respond from your wisdom. You no longer crave attention. You move with intention. Every action you take is now purposeful, led by the Spirit, and rooted in something far greater than self. You are no longer operating from who you were. You are walking fully in who you were always destined to become. This is why those who once ignored you now find themselves uneasy in your presence. Not because you have changed for the worse, but because you have grown for the better. Your spiritual elevation is unsettling their comfort zones. Your maturity is quietly revealing the areas of their lives they have long avoided. Your clarity now stands in contrast to their confusion, making them question what they've accepted as normal. You have become a mirror, not of perfection, but of possibility. Your life reflects what can happen when someone chooses growth over stagnation, truth over convenience, and purpose over popularity. When someone truly surrenders to divine instruction, others can feel the shift, even if they cannot explain it. They may not have the language to describe what they sense, but they know something is different. That difference is the result of your spirit now vibrating on heaven's frequency, and that frequency does not lie. It convicts, it exposes, it shifts atmospheres, it silences those who once spoke against you, it awakens those who never took you seriously, it unsettles those who believed they had you figured out. Because now, you are no longer merely existing, you are transmitting. You have become a living broadcast of obedience, purity, surrender, and divine power. You are walking evidence that when God rewires a person, their entire presence is transformed. You did not arrive at this place by chance. You were pruned, processed, and purified. There were parts of you that God had to break away: pride, people-pleasing, fear, comparison, and false identity. He rewired your spirit not to make you popular, but to make you powerful in the ways that truly matter. Spiritually, prophetically, and eternally, you have been reprogrammed for your asterisk assignment, the unique, divinely marked calling that sets you apart. You have been recalibrated for your true purpose, and now your very existence carries a spiritual weight that resonates with heaven and unsettles the earth. Those who once dismissed you are now picking up a frequency they cannot ignore. They are tuning in without even realizing it. They are sensing what they cannot define and observing what they cannot explain. Why? Because your destiny has been activated. You are no longer who you used to be. You have become aligned, awakened, and assigned, and everything about you now reflects the power of divine transformation. Chapter 7. God is using you to shift the room, not fit in it. Chosen one, you were never created to fit in. You were divinely designed to shift the room. That is why your presence is beginning to stir those around you. You now carry something sacred, something far deeper than mere energy. You carry divine evidence, a spiritual weight, a heavenly frequency, and a calling that cannot be ignored. You do not need to speak loudly, for your spirit already speaks volumes. You have become a spiritual force, not because you sought attention, but because you embraced alignment with God's purpose for your life. While others fought for recognition, you chose to stay low, stay loyal, and remain in position. And now, God is using you as a vessel to shake environments that once didn't even acknowledge your presence. Your glow is not the product of image, it is the result of obedience. You did not take shortcuts, nor did you compromise your soul for visibility. Instead, you kept walking, kept growing, and kept praying. And now, your presence has become undeniable. That is why some are intimidated, others are curious, a few are convicted, but all are watching. You represent what happens when a person chooses purpose over popularity, when someone refuses to conform merely for the sake of acceptance. Your presence carries impact because it carries God. The atmosphere shifts around you. The room bends to your frequency because heaven moves with you. You are not merely influencing people, you are awakening dormant spirits. Your silence now speaks more profoundly than your past efforts ever could. Your energy is anointed, your path divinely protected, and your assignment unmistakably confirmed. You no longer enter spaces seeking to be noticed. You enter to shift atmospheres. Now when you walk into a room, the environment responds. Conversations shift, spirits stir, and the atmosphere aligns. Not because you are doing too much, but because you have outgrown the spaces that once overlooked you. You did not seek this kind of attention. You simply became who heaven called you to be. And now, your very aura speaks louder, clearer, and more powerfully than any words ever could. If you're still eager for more, whether it's additional chapters to continue the journey or a visual concept for a video or thumbnail, just say the word. I'm here and ready to help bring it all to life. Thanks for watching. Here ends this video. Take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. If you find this video interesting,